Hey y'all, it's a very hot last day of August in Georgia, and I'm out here checking on Lucy because Lucy is on calf watch, which means she's due to calve. I'm not real sure. I'm thinking in another week or so. It really could be any day. So what I do is I come out and I check on her every day for several days, and there will be nothing, and then one day I'll forget to check on her because I'll get busy doing something with the kids, and I'll come out and she'll be in labor. There'll be a calf on the ground. I do calf watch, which means I come out to check on her, but I rarely, the watched pot never boils over type of scenario. But nevertheless, I'm out here checking on my cows. But what I wanted to talk about is this new consumer reports that's coming out in October, and they did a test on ground beef, and they tested to see if ground beef was safe, because there's been several beef recalls, and part of the reason is because we're buying beef. A majority of the beef in the U.S. is produced on a feedlot, and now all of the beef they tested, and they did test some grass-fed beef, it had some bacterial contamination in it, some bug in it, but the grass-fed beef was not as contaminated as the feedlot beef. And I want to explain, if you don't know what a feedlot is, I'm going to tell you what it is, because if you eat at McDonald's, if you eat at most chain restaurants, if you are going to the local grocery store and just buying that pack of ground beef, unless it says it's grass-fed, certified, it's grass-fed, organic, it was raised on a feedlot. And a feedlot means that a majority of that cow's life was on a dirt lot, which cows were not meant to be raised on dirt lots, and fed soy and corn. The Consumer Report article also mentioned that the cows could be fed candy, plastic pellets, if you can believe that. And I'll put the link on my blog to the article so you can read it for yourself. It should be eye-opening. It was not eye-opening to me because I already knew all this. My point being, cows were made to eat grass. Their bodies were not made to eat grain and soy and candy and plastic pellets. My gosh, if you're not willing to just eat plastic pellets yourself, why would you eat an animal that was raised on that? It causes the environment in their rumen to be too acidic, and so then these cattle are more likely to be sick. So feedlot cattle, to ward off some of the bugs and the illnesses that they commonly get, they're routinely given low doses of antibiotics, which is where the drug-resistant bacteria come into play. Do you see where I'm going with this? You've got to stop supporting that type of farming model. The beef industry is very strong, but I need to let you know that most of the beef that is raised in the U.S. is raised on a feedlot. It's not raised by a local farmer. If you can find it organically, grass-fed in the grocery store, that's great. But the best thing you can do is buy it from a local farmer who raises it on grass and raises it in a sustainable and humane manner. It's not humane to put these cows in a lot, 14,000 in number, all crunched together on mud, and just pump them full of grain and then send them off to slaughter. And if you're eating out, and if you're buying cheap ground beef, that's what you're buying. And you're buying a meat that is contaminated with bacteria. You're buying a meat that has artificial hormones. You're buying a beef that has antibiotics in it. And eventually you will reap what you sow. Eventually, if you keep putting that into your body, you're going to be sick. Now, the other question that's posed to me oftentimes is, well, I would buy beef from a local grass-fed beef operation, but it's too expensive. Well, I'm going to tell you that in a feedlot, cattle are raised quickly, and prices of beef have been purposely kept low by the government so that in your mind you think that cheap beef is what beef is worth, when in actuality what you are paying for from a local farmer is what beef is worth. We've just been so used to artificially low prices on our food that when we get real food that's real and nutritious and healthy for us, we think it's too expensive. But if you are driving around in a brand new car, if you have a big beautiful house, you can pay for grass-fed beef. I'm just putting that out there because you are what you eat. People spend more time picking out a car and researching a car that they're going to buy than researching what they're feeding their kids and what they're putting in their own bodies. And you're just feeding disease if you put crap in your body. Now, the other question that is always asked of me is it difficult to raise a cow and slaughter it, or a pig, because I raise pig, or chickens? We just processed chickens yesterday, and people say today they've been picking up chickens. Oh, that must be so hard. How do you do that? I could never raise a cow or a chicken or a pig and slaughter it. How do you do that? As if I'm some sort of superwoman. People think I'm just tough because I can do that. And I'm going to tell you what I tell everyone who asks me that question. When I bottle feed a calf, when it's born here on the property, and we bottle feed it and we raise it for 2.5 years on grass, and we get to know that calf and that cow, and then it's time to take it to process, to put in our freezer, yeah, it's tough. We're not people who take it as, oh yeah, that's just life, and it's taken off and we have no emotion at all. It is hard, and I think for most farmers who raise a small herd of cattle or raise a few pigs and even chickens, it is hard. They've got personalities, but if you are buying beef from the grocery store, that cow had to die to make it to the grocery store. At least I know that if a cow is dying to give me a cheeseburger, it was raised humanely, it was raised properly, and it was raised in an environment that it was meant to live in, which is on grass. So think about that. We are so disconnected from our food that we think nothing of it. It's to buy it locally or to raise it ourselves, we think it's just horror. But to buy it in a grocery store already wrapped up and packaged, we think of that as being no problem. If you have that mentality, you are completely disconnected from your food, and that's a bad thing. And yeah, I know buying beef from a farmer such as me, it's more expensive than what you're used to, and people say, well, we eat beef every day, I can't afford that. Well, maybe you shouldn't be eating beef every day. You're better off to buy sustainable grass-fed beef and eat it fewer times a week. Eat some vegetables, eat some beans. There are other forms of protein out there. It's not just meat. You know, and it's more nutrient dense when it's grass-fed and it's healthy. So consider that the next time you go to the store and you're looking for grass-fed beef. I want you to think about the epidemic of disease in this country. I want you to think about your own health. I want you to think about the health of your children. And most of all, I want you to think about the health of all of these cows that are raised so that you can have your cheeseburger. If you want something that's truly healthy, you've got to support a local farmer. I am telling you, it's the best bang for your buck to support someone who is growing food responsibly and humanely and sustainably, and they're raising them on grass. The way God intended for these animals to live is on grass, not in a feedlot. Now, I'm not saying there needs to be a law against feedlots. We just need to opt out en masse. Everyone needs to just opt out and say, you know what? I'm not supporting that. I'm going to support my local farmer. Anyway, I'm done on my soapbox. I've just gotten a lot of emails. It's generated a lot of talk, and I just wanted to, because I feel lazy today and it's past dinner time and I got to get inside and eat dinner. And by the way, we have a freezer full of beef, but we're eating beans tonight, Navajo tacos. We don't eat beef every day. Even though I've got lots of meat in my freezer, you got to shake that diet up a little bit, y'all. You can't eat beef every single day. There are other healthy foods out there. So I hope y'all have a great Monday. Tomorrow is September 1st. It's going to be hot here in Georgia, which I'm happy. I love the hot weather. I'm not ready for fall. And happy Monday, y'all.